Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
While we're all waiting with bated breath of who are the Democrats going to choose for their nominee, oh my goodness, I wonder. Of course, they threw Bernie a bone and said they threw his hat there in for the nomination. We'll just have to wait and see what they decide. But let's get on to what's going on in the world today, something that they will not speak to you about there at the DNC. Of course, another terror attack. This took place in Normandy today. It was a terror attack, took place in a church. Two ISIS knife men made their way into this church during morning mass. They took several people hostage. They forced a priest there to kneel. They filmed the attack. Then they did an Arabic sermon around the altar there before they slit this Catholic priest's throat at the altar in front of some nuns as well as some other people. A nun there is fighting for her life after this attack. But now security sources are saying, hey, well, we actually knew this guy. One of the murderers was a convicted terrorist who is being monitored with an electronic tag. He should have been living at home with his parents. Oh, my goodness. Dare you say that these terrorists don't pay attention to the rules and they have a tag on them, but still they go out and commit murder? Now, these are just teenagers, okay? One of them is 19. The guy that they had, the Adel Karmish, he was the one who was being tagged. And another suspect is only 17 years old. He's a relative. So these are just young men, not women and children, who came through exploiting this refugee crisis. As we reported before last year, everyone said that your fears are unfounded. There's no way that there are going to be any jihadists coming through. Well, now we are seeing just a rolling out of these terrorist attacks taking place there in France, Germany. They've opened up their doors to these people, and then this is the repayment that they get. But they're telling Europe, don't worry about it. Your fears are unfounded. And here's the political correctness gone absolutely mad. Now the German MP is actually being critical of the police for daring to kill the crazed axe-wielding jihadists earlier last week. So this was Germany. They've experienced now 3 terror attacks in a week. One of those occurred on a train in Bavaria. This was an 18-year-old Afghan refugee. He attacked people in a train car. He was swinging an axe and screaming Allah Akbar, surprise, surprise. Well, when the train stopped, the terrorist tried to escape. So he started attacking the police who had surrounded him. And of course, seeing no other recourse, the police shoot him dead. So then the leader of the Green Party tweets out, well, why could the attacker not have been incapacitated without killing him? Questions indeed. So of course the police respond. The German police union says, if police officers are attacked in this manner, they're not going to engage in kung fu. Unfortunately, sometimes it ends in the death of the perpetrator. This will not change. So here again, we're seeing sympathy for these refugees. Oh my goodness, this poor guy, he was probably just bullied as a teen and he decided to take it out on innocent people in a train car with an axe, because that's what I did when I grew up being bullied as a child. I turned into a raging psychopath. No, that's not the new normal, but they want you to believe that. And they're also trying to twist who the victim is here. We spoke with Paul Joseph Watson earlier on the radio show today, and he said, you would not believe the gaslighting and the propaganda that the people in Europe are being subjected to. Just like they changed the headline, Syrian migrant killed by bomb blast. Yeah, because it was attached to his chest when he set the bomb off in the market. My goodness, what is going on here? And now with some more gaslighting, the German government is claiming that this surge in attacks has nothing to do with the refugee policy. And this is, of course, because Angela Merkel's popularity is dropping like a rock. This was after a suicide bomber on Sunday injured 12 people at a musical festival in Bavaria. On Friday, a shooter killed 9 people at a shopping center. And of course, before that, there was the axe attack. So they say, this was just a series of unfortunate random events. This is Stephen Mayer. He's a lawmaker for the Christian Democratic Party there. And he says, there's a rising nervousness among our public. The events of Friday have nothing to do with our refugee policy. It's completely wrong to blame Angela Merkel and her refugee policy for this incident. And the German Interior Minister went on to say, we should not hold refugees under a general suspicion even if there are investigations in individual cases. Total criminal actions here, deny, as well as gaslight the public and tell them they're crazy for daring to think, maybe this is a problem, importing all these people here who don't want to assimilate with our culture and who in fact hate our culture and want to kill us. Now, this was something, like I mentioned, that they did not talk about thus far at the DNC. They had 61 speeches on their first day, not one mention of terrorism. They were too busy talking about opening up the borders and how great illegal immigration is and gun grabbing and, joking about the fact that democracy is dead in this country. Even Bernie Sanders bows his head in shame. Of course, as at the top of Drudge right now, they say at least they finally managed to get some U.S. flags today because everyone noticed that they were missing yesterday. But you saw some other, the Palestinian flag, the LGBT flag flying there. No American flags. Oh, but they fixed that little problem today. Now, the Clinton campaign said that they're braced for more DNC leaks. I thought Russia didn't hack into Clinton's server, but I think we're going to find out that that's absolutely not true. But they're saying, of course, these are timed because Russia wants to throw the election because they like Donald Trump. They have some sort of a good relationship, Donald Trump and Putin. And so, of course, that's what they're really pushing out, saying, people need to understand when these leaks happened. This is what they're designed to do. Vladimir Putin's regime is trying to throw the election. Of course, Nancy Pelosi comes out. She knows for sure Putin hacked the DNC. She said there's no doubt the Russians hacked and provided WikiLeaks with this trove of embarrassing emails. And of course, there's no confirmation of this, but it doesn't matter. They're just going to run with it anyway because they need a boogeyman, and it's always going to be Russia. Trevor Timm writes for The Guardian. He says, "It's amazing how quickly the media are willing to forego any skepticism, jump to conspiracy-tinged conclusions where Putin is involved. He's already been linked to everything from Brexit, Jeremy Corbyn, Greece, and Spain. People treat him like he's this omnipotent mastermind who secretly and effortlessly controls world events. Maybe we should stop giving him so much credit. Maybe we should." Now, of course, WikiLeaks' Julian Assange has come out and saying this is a total diversion being pushed by the Hillary Clinton campaign. He said there's no proof whatsoever that he received any emails from the Russians. The real story is what these emails contain, and they show collusion at the very top of the Democratic Party to derail Sanders' campaign, which is absolutely true. But even now, Bernie Sanders is coming out and saying, initially he was saying that they didn't give him a fair shot, and now he's coming out saying, 7 people in an email string couldn't derail my campaign. And so it's just total collusion. Bernie Sanders is a huge sellout. Margaret and I are going to talk about that more in the segment coming up. But even the Kremlin has come out and said that these claims are absurd, and they go on to mock the American election cycle this year, calling us obsessed, basically, with references to Russia in this campaign. And a great article coming out of the Federalist, they talk about a friendly reminder, Bernie Sanders is a bigger authoritarian than Donald Trump. And in fact, he's pushing a lot of policies. Why wouldn't Russia be supporting him, not Donald Trump? Because he is the one that is pushing these same political revolution to transform America, raises up his fist at the end, never once uttering the words freedom, liberty, or the Constitution. And he goes on to talk about how the Supreme Court's main function is to overturn the First Amendment so the state can ban books and movies critical of the Democratic Party. And it could also be useful in overriding religious freedom and empowering the president to change the immigration status of millions of people unilaterally. So we can already see where things are headed.
I wake up every morning in a house that was built by slaves.
What does the disgusting DNC and a French priest killed by ISIS have in common? Plenty. While performing morning mass, Jacques Hamel, Catholic priest, and 2 nuns were held hostage for roughly an hour and viciously attacked in a church in Normandy, France. The 2 attackers, one of them followed by police for over a year and a half, brutally slit the priest's throat and seriously injured the nun. As the Telegraph reports, both of the attackers shouted Daesh, which is the actual name for ISIS, ISIL, IS, or whatever it is the mind-controlling politicians would have us all call it. And right on schedule, French President Hollande offered more vague statements about declaring war on terrorism, saying, "Today we must be aware that the terrorists will not give up as long as we don't stop them. That's our will, and that's what we are doing tirelessly." while Marine Le Pen, president of the far-right National Party of France, observed, "The responsibility of all those who have governed us for over 30 years is immense. To watch them talking is revolting." This attack follows the Bastille Day horror in Nice, France. Clearly, France is under attack, as is Germany after a recent wave of jihad attacks in Bavaria. But German Chancellor Angela Merkel will hear none of that, as Bloomberg reported. Government spokeswoman Ulrike Demmer told reporters on Monday the 4 assaults don't offer a clear picture about motives. There is a rising nervousness among our public. Mayor, who sits on Parliament's Internal Affairs Committee, told BBC Radio on Monday, "You have to differentiate. The events of Friday have nothing to do with our refugee policy. It is completely wrong to blame Angela Merkel and her refugee policy for this incident." Back in the United States, there wasn't one mention of radical jihadist terrorism during the first day of the DNC.
Thank you or not, as the case may be.
The Bernie or bust people, you're being ridiculous.
We must get big money out of politics and root out corruption. Hillary will fight to overturn Citizens United and return this government to the people. If you believe that America must work for all of us, not just for the rich and powerful.
We have got to elect Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine. Brothers and sisters,
in fact, Hillary's running mate, TPP supporting Tim Kaine, declared in Spanish in an interview with Telemundo that illegal immigrants would be legalized within the first 100 days of Hillary's reign, while, as Breitbart reported, Hillary plans on admitting 420,000 Syrian refugees during her first term, expanding Obama's unconstitutional executive amnesty, dissolving the U.S. borders, freezing deportations, closing detention centers, and giving a full path to citizenship and Obamacare to illegal immigrants, far surpassing the chaos Obama has already introduced to the United States. Hillary Clinton wants to one-up Angela Merkel to impress her globalist masters. Screw the American people. Anyone can see that it is the immigration policy of Merkel that has brought the recent horror down on Europe. And the only solution is to immediately stop the flow of migration and begin the monumental process of mass deportation. This is jihad by immigration, or al-Hijra, as it is known by Muslims. Who in their right mind would allow a hostile enemy to move their soldiers and their families into their country? Now is it crystal clear why there was no mention of ISIS during the first night of the Democratic National Convention? John Bound for Infowars.com.
Joining me now is Ashley Beckford, and we're going to talk about what's going on in Turkey. So we are witnessing a once major ally of the United States being turned over to an authoritarian religious dictatorship. And there are reports now that Erdogan is actually cleaning house to form a perfect Islamic State. So this is absolutely frightening. Of course, we all watched in real time this failed coup taking place in Turkey, July 15th and 16th. A lot of conspiracy theories surrounding what happened there. But it seems that Erdogan had already prepared the names of people that he wanted to purge from his military as well as his government. So a lot of people are saying that he staged it himself to gobble up even more power. So Ashley, talk a little bit about some of the things that are going on.
Well, that's right, Leanne. What I found most disturbing about the situation here in Turkey right now is that we all know, as you said, the July 15th coup occurred, and they're blaming U.S.-based Islamic cleric Fethullah Gulen for that. And Erdogan, what he actually did was he sent out his anti-terror prosecutors, and he sent out arrest warrants for over 40 journalists. So he's actually going ahead and doing a brazen purge based on political affiliation. So this is a big draconian clampdown kind of on our freedom of speech, just generally, because if someone is going to do this in a situation where, there's a coup going on, it could happen at any time. And so that's something that's concerning to me. Also, it affects their wanting to get into the EU, because right now, you know, with a coup going on, obviously that's going to mess up their bid for getting into the EU. Right.
They're obviously going to be moving further away from the West and more so getting involved with some of the conflicts there in the Middle East. And we've always kind of looked to Turkey, at least, to kind of keep the peace, I guess, keep harmony between Islam and the West. And now they're saying, well, no, we want to form the most perfect Islamic state. Of course, there was a lot of pushback there of, you know, why are you helping the Kurds to defeat ISIS? But I mean, we've seen the arrest or suspension of 57,000 soldiers, police, judges, civil servants. 62 children have been arrested for treason that were part of a military school, and there are reports of them torturing detainees. So this is absolutely insane. People are saying that it was Fethullah Gulen's, his lackeys were kind of fearing Erdogan, and so they staged an ill-prepared coup. But that's just not likely. What we're probably seeing here is Erdogan, who really wanted to go ahead and siphon off a lot of power for himself. Very frightening what's going on there. And of course, we're probably not going to be receiving any factual information coming out now that he is rounding up journalists who would dare speak out.
Right. 13,000 people have been detained so far. And now they're actually trying to create a diplomatic crisis, basically, with the United States. If they don't end up getting rid of Fethullah Gulen, I guess sending him back to Turkey.
Right. Absolutely. Thank you, Ashley. Now stick around, because coming up, we've got more reports.
This is the answer for your children to totally absorb the multivitamins, the minerals, the amino acids, everything at once. Unveil Vitamin Mineral Fusion Advanced Multivitamin Formula, 30 servings, fruit punch flavored dietary supplement. It is simply amazing. InfoWarsLife.com.
There's a million different products like this out there that they're good in different ways. But this takes all of the vitamins, all of the essential amino acids, all of the essential compounds and minerals that you need, puts it into something that's great tasting as opposed to like clumpy, gross stuff. And you can put it in your drink every morning. I put it in my protein shake. It is the platinum standard, in my view, of multivitamins in terms of an advanced multi-drink vitamin.
The cleanest, the purest, new stuff had to be invented. That's why it took this long to even bring us something this good.
Some companies are going to take a small amount of vitamins and make it, so there's so much filler, it looks like there's a lot. This is ultra concentrated. We're not playing games here. Okay,
well, that's my philosophy. That's your philosophy.
Yeah,
I want to, but again, there's some great stuff out there.
Yeah,
and there's other,
No, of course, definitely.
There's other powders I promote at InfoWarsHealth.com. Yeah, they're excellent. I mean, there's some good stuff out there. This is just the very best we can bring you, and when you buy it, you support InfoWars, you support the reporters, you support yourself. Tell folks about some of these other things that are in this and why this is just this total complete package for your body, because again, we didn't put the synthetic amino acids, we didn't put the synthetic vitamins, we put the plant-based, high quality, clean, natural ingredients into this.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your standard vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, the list goes on.
A huge amount of vitamin C, by the way. Tell folks about that.
1,000+% of your daily value, which is what you need. Because the, FDA guidelines, we all know about those. Zinc, magnesium, selenium, L-glutamine. Each one of these, you could go on for about 10 minutes about the benefits of these things. Alpha-lipoic acid, folic acid, calcium, and the list goes on. 34 other ones you can check out. Go to InfoWarsLife.com, the label's up there. You've got the entire ingredients list that you can neurotically examine for yourself. And just...
By the way, look on the other side, too, because we're showing people the... minerals and things. Let's look at the vitamins right there, all it's got in there. I mean, it's amazing.
Top left.
Again, if you're radio listeners, Infowars.com/show. Vitamin A has 4,333% from beta carotene, and what's that other source? I just know that's all the best sources.
Retinol. So you've also got your vitamin D at 1,000 IU, which is a large dose, actually. And you know what? Some people could say, well, isn't this competing with your other products? Well, yeah, you know what? We could be like some people and just take all the stuff that we sell also at InfoWarsLife.com and not put any of it, but then it wouldn't be a balanced formula, and we're not going to do that. And it might actually hurt us in the long run to put all the best stuff in here, but that's just the way we got to do it, because we can't start thinking like that.
So get them today, InfoWarsLife.com, or call toll-free 888-253-3139.